morning, everyone. Welcome to today's DIH Talk. My name is Santiago Uribe Diaz. I am a digital transformation advisor at Luxinnovation, and I will be moderating today's session. For those of you who are new to our webinars, there is a chat window where you can type in any messages you like, and also a questions window where we encourage you to post your questions during the session. At the end of the session, we will have a Q&A section where our speakers will gladly answer your questions. So today's topic is awareness on European funding and Horizon Europe introduction. If you have ever wondered how to get European funding for your innovation projects, today's session will be very interesting for you. In this DIH talk, you will gain a clear understanding of how the Horizon Europe initiative works, which funding instruments match your needs, and how our national contact point team at Luxinnovation can guide you through every step, from identifying the right calls to building competitive proposals. By the end of this session, you will know exactly where to find support and how to maximize your chances of success for European funding. And now I would like to give you a brief introduction on the DIH services. So just for you to know, the DIH services are 100% by the EU and Luxembourg without invoices or administrative procedures. And we have many interesting things, such as assessments. We can help you discover what's your digital level and where to start your digital projects. We also have support on cybersecurity. We work very closely with the Luxembourg House of Cybersecurity, and they have nice initiatives like the Room 42, where you can simulate a cyber attack. We also work with skill and trainings to help you define training roadmaps and what are the best training topics for your staff. Technology tests, our colleagues from the LIS, for example, can help you out in testing new technologies before you invest considerable amounts of money. And we also have awareness of funding, which is exactly what we're doing today. So we have these talks where we communicate with you what are the opportunities for funding from Luxembourg to your companies. And now, before introducing you to our speakers, I just want to your help with this. We are currently doing a survey to find out what is your language of preference for these sessions. So would you like to have them in English in the future, like today, or do you prefer to have them in French and German? If you want to vote, it's super simple. You just need to scan the QR that you are seeing on the screen. And it's just one question, really, French or English. No, I mean English or French or German. And that's it. It would really help us a lot. So I just leave it here like 5 seconds, and then I turn the slide. Okay. So please join me on welcoming today's speakers, our colleagues from Luxinnovation, Francesca Borelli, Head of the European Funding Department, and Han Hockman, Advisor also at the European Funding Department. They will give you valuable insight during this session about interesting European funding opportunities. So, good morning, Francesca and Jan.
Good morning.
Morning.
Pleasure having you here. So I will just switch the presentations. Okay, now it should be fine. So I leave you the floor, and thanks so much.
Thank you, Santiago, and good morning, everybody. So I'm Francesca Borelli. I'm the head of the European funding team at Luxinnovation, and we will today with Jan, we will introduce you to European funding. It's in particular the Horizon Europe program. We will show you our services, and because we are a little bit in the realm of digital domain, Jan will give you some more detailed information on opportunities in Horizon Europe regarding the digital topics. yeah, this was the agenda, and we are 6 people at the moment in the European funding team, and we are divided by sector. I cover, for example, the cluster health, and then there is our colleague Clarissa who covers the cluster culture, but also the pillar 1, the European Research Council, Monica, cluster 4, the industry part, but also the European Innovation Council, Sana in cluster 5, climate, energy and mobility, and Jan, who will talk soon, it's cluster 3, civil security, and in particular cluster 4, the digital part. And Nancy, finally, cluster 6 with food, which is covering food, bioeconomy, natural resources, and agriculture. At Luxinnovation, as you might know already, we cover several services, and our team is in the funding part of the Luxinnovation service catalog, where we, in particular, we cover, here there was not, but we cover, if you can see, the Innovation Fund, the Horizon Europe, and the Digital Europe program. What are the services and how you can benefit from our support? So we are national contact points for these 3 programs, Horizon Europe, Digital Europe program, and Innovation Fund. And we can help you based on your innovation journey. We can help you finding opportunities in these 3 programs to apply for innovation research project. We can meet you and hear about and discuss about your project idea, and then together we can find opportunities for you. We can help you finding the right partners. We can also help you with the legal and financial issues related only to the project and the grant agreement with the European Commission. We organize trainings and info sessions here at Luxinnovation or online, where we introduce specific instruments and specific programs. And we can also, for those that decide to prepare an application for Horizon Europe, we can help you understanding the templates, the submission problem, and even review your proposal and give comments. We are not consultants. These are all services that we give for free, so we don't write any proposal, of course, but we can help you in the whole process of the submission. And even when you are awarded, we can help you with the signature of the agreement with the Commission and the project implementation. We do, as I said, a lot of events and trainings, and some are very interesting especially for newcomers, for people that do not know a lot about Horizon Europe. One is for beginners, and will be there is one soon on the 12th of March, and then there is a level more advanced. But we do also some training on specific instrument. And also horizontal transversal session, and these can be found on our website of Luxinnovation, or you can subscribe to our newsletter to have all this information. We also produce articles, guidelines, and success story in order to show the importance and the impact of Horizon Europe projects in Luxembourg. So what is the Horizon Europe program? The Horizon Europe program is the biggest European funding scheme for research and innovation. Here for Horizon Europe, we cover 2 roles at Luxinnovation. One is the one that I described you before, the service that we give to applicants. But on the other side, we also participate in a lot of meetings in Brussels or online with the European Commission and with the other member states to discuss the programs and the instruments that are then later in the year published. Horizon Europe is a very policy-oriented program. What does it mean? That all the projects that are funded under Horizon Europe should contribute significantly to the policy objectives of the European Commission and the European Union in particular, which are the 3 main programs and policy that are currently top priorities for the European Union are 3: the green transition, the digital transition, and a more resilient, competitive, inclusive, and democratic Europe. So all projects that are funded under Horizon Europe should contribute to these three important policies. How then this policy translate into Horizon Europe? It's translated into three important pillars of the program. One is for advanced research, and we will not focus on this now. The second, that will be the focus of today's workshop, is the pillar 2, which is global challenges, and then the pillar 3, it's more the innovation pillar. What kind of opportunities, or how do we call them, calls exist in Horizon Europe? There are some which are top-down call. What does it mean? That the Commission defines the problem and also define the expected outcome of your proposal, of your project. And then you have to find the solution. Others are bottom-up call. What does it mean? That you come up with the problem and with the solution. Of course, as I said, even if when it's bottom-up, you have to contribute to the policy of the European Union. It's also very important to understand that different instruments exist for different level of the technology or of the solution readiness of your project. So there are some instruments that are more for low technical technology readiness level and some for higher. Also, there are some projects where you can participate alone. These are called mono-beneficiaries. But most of them, those we will focus today, are the collaborative ones. This means that you have to create a consortium with other partners in other countries to submit your proposal. This is an important concept that I introduced earlier, the technology readiness level. You have basic technology readiness level from tier L1, tier L4, and there are some instruments that cover this part up to tier L9, which is always before commercialization. So the Horizon Europe, it's not a program that supports the business development, but up to the readiness, the final, when you are ready to go on the market. As I said, today we can focus only and exclusively on the pillar 2 of the Horizon Europe. What type of calls can you find? Top-down, mostly in 99% of the case. So it means that the Commission defines the problem and the expected outcomes. The TRL levels, from what I showed before, should be already a medium to high. So it's not really for basic research. And then it's the model of participation is consortia, so with other partners. What type of instruments you have under the pillar 2 of the Horizon Europe? Is mainly 3 instruments: research and innovation action. And here you see it's to test and establish new knowledge and solution. And the funding rate for both public and private entities, it's up to 100% of the eligible cost. Innovation action, on the other side, are action, as you see, there is no research in the world, and in fact, they look more for higher TRL levels and more to implementation of the solution in bigger pilots. Here, the funding rate is up to 70% for the private companies and 100 always for the public. And then there are actions which are a little bit different. They are called coordination and support actions. These are in general action that aim to establish knowledge hubs or to establish networks for future research and future initiative within the European Union. Who can participate to this instrument and to the action of the Horizon Europe? Of course, all type of organization which are based in member states and in associated country, but of course you need to have some characteristics. Which are these characteristics which are important? Of course, that you have a legal status and sites that it's recognized under national, European Union or international law. companies of all sides can participate. But what are your characteristics? So companies that participate in European funding have a certain level of innovation readiness, and they want, as you see, the European added value, they want to contribute to the European policy. Another important aspect for the pillar 2, but also for the other, it's the capacity to collaborate with the international partners. There are a lot of benefits, and when we talk about benefits of Horizon Europe, it's not only the funding. Of course, you receive funding, but there are other benefits to take into account, which are very important. For example, the networking, you will be able to work with several partners across several countries with complementarity or synergetic knowledge. You gain knowledge in this exchange. You can help European Union to advance in identified and important problems for all kinds of citizens and industries. And interesting, for example, in Horizon Europe projects, once you are awarded, is that you receive pre-financing. This means that you have already from the beginning the budget allocated to your company to start the project. This is also interesting. These are some figures from Luxembourg. So in the period 2021-2025, Luxembourgish entities, both private and public, participate in more than 2,000 applications, and so far, so as of October 2025, Luxembourg has been successful in 397 projects. At the moment, there are more than 400 in February 2026. And we received around 250 million, of which the private sector benefit for 120. And you can see that even SMEs are participating and got already in total, of course, not all SME that participate, to 32 million. Here, the success rates, it's the success rate of Luxembourg, which is 17.60%. Of course, this can vary a lot between instruments and calls, but we are quite good in Luxembourg in this participation. For example, you can see that average, so all the other entities, the rates is a little bit lower. And I think I can stop here, and I don't know if we want to take some question now, but it's better, I think, at the end, right? I see my colleague, what they want to do.
Yes, it would. I think it would be better to have the questions at the end.
Okay. Then now I'll leave the floor to my colleague Jan, who will present the cluster 4, which is the cluster on digital topics.
Francesca, for the presentation and giving me the floor. I'll be now going through, so I'm a European funding advisor covering, among others, Cluster 4 and also other funding programs with a focus on the digital technologies. So if we go to the next slide, or yeah. We just wanted to show a little bit the structure of Horizon Europe and where you find pillar cluster 4, which is in pillar 2. So it's this top-down part of the Horizon Europe, where, as my colleague was explaining, that the Commission sets out the problem and the expected outcomes, and you have to come with the solution. So this is really the sort of the mind set that you have to come when you apply for these funding opportunities. In the next slide, you see that cluster 4 has, if you could go to the next slide, can I? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. You can see that the cluster has 3 elements. It is It has industry, space, and digital. It's the biggest part of Horizon Europe with a lot of funding available. And for digital, as you see, you have very topical technologies that are supported, such as quantum, AI, and robotics, and big data, of course. On the next slide, we look a little bit more into how the cluster is set up. It's always, you have to think about these destinations as we have here on the page, as sort of the titles of or the buckets in which you find concrete funding opportunities, these calls. And so for cluster 4, you have these 5 destinations on digital on overall, and there are 3 which are relevant for us here. And we would want to focus on the one that's highlighted in black, which is achieving open strategic autonomy in digital and emerging in enabling technologies. But this is, as I said, these broad buckets that you can find in cluster 4, and give you sort of a flavor of what kind of problems the Commission would like you to tackle with the innovation and research community in Europe. On the next slide, we can see a little bit more on how this destination on achieving open strategic autonomy in digital and emerging enabling technologies look like, what they sort of want to tackle here. And here you see leadership in critical technologies. Again, these important technologies, AI and quantum, photonics and semiconductors are really a key focus for the European Commission. It's also about consolidating research and deploying safe and strategic AI and quantum capabilities, also including robotic solutions, of course. This is really also highlighted by important strategies that the Commission published. So, for example, making Europe AI continent, as you can see here. And then, of course, as you probably also heard when reading the news, Horizon Europe and this cluster and this destination will contribute to investing in enabling technologies and making our industrial base future-proof. And again, this is looking at how we can do more research, better research, and more innovation in these important digital technologies. If we go to the next slide, fantastic. Next slide. Oh, okay, it's a bit of a perfect. Yeah, sorry. And there's a bit of a So this is the timeline of the relevant funding calls. So here it's important to know that we know now of funding opportunities and their timelines for this year and next year. Afterwards, the timing still needs to be clarified by the European Commission. And so here you see on the left side, there are funding opportunities that are already open and that will close in the middle of April, on the 15th of April. So that's in 2 months' time, and so if you are interested in applying to these funding opportunities, it's really now that you need to sort of look a bit closer into what exists and what is possible. And then on the right side, you see there will be more funding opportunities coming your way if you don't manage to apply for the current ones, and these ones will be open in November of this year and will close in mid-March of next year. So just to get a sense of the timing. On the next slide, and actually the next 3 slides, since we didn't really know the audience and your focus, we thought it was best to give you the titles of each funding opportunities that is open now or for next year. So you get a sense of the topics that are and will be available. And then in a later slide, you will give one example, so you have a better sense of how a funding call from Cluster 4 in Horizon Europe looks like. So here we've highlighted, so again, these are the titles of these individual funding calls. You see these terms such as open internet stack, which of course is linked to this discussion of making Europe less dependent on these big tech providers. Of course, there's a big push also by the European Commission on AI and data. So, for example, this call on making data processing more decentralized and federated and sustainable, for example. Also, AI agents are a big focus, but making them deploying them in the real world. And so there you have a specific call, for example, on this. And then, of course, what the Commission is also trying to do much more in the last two calls that are on the slide is trying to organize challenges. And this is for AI in specific sectors, for example, telco, healthcare, as one of those in the last call as mentioned here is this Gen AI call. On the next slide, you will find some more funding calls that are available this next year. So you see here robotics coming up a lot, quantum and digital twins, as well as one on photonics and semiconductors. And then on the last slide, the next slide, which contains the remaining funding opportunities that will be available this and next year, you can see materials, AI again, human AI collaboration, but also virtual worlds, which is also a big focus of the European Commission at this stage. So the next slide here, we wanted to give an example of a concrete funding call. So this is the one on advanced local digital twins using AI and early warning for early warning and preparedness. So here you can see this is the one that's currently open and will close in mid-April. It has a budget of 6 million for one project. This can also vary. Sometimes they can fund several projects, and they will always give an indication on how much per project they envisage to fund. And they also indicate how mature your technology should be when you start the project and how it should be at the end. So here it's TRL 5 to 7. This is already quite advanced. So we're not talking really about research anymore, but you should really have already some form of a prototype and get it tested through this project here. For and so, yeah, this is, I think, a good example of how the call is set up. You can read a little bit more on the slide on what they're looking for. And on the right side on the slide, you see that they had an info day in January. This is available online, the recording, so you can listen to it and hear from the Commission officials explanations on what they understand or what they want to see in this call. And also what's very useful, I find personally, is this topic tree. It's organized by our colleagues in other countries. They sort of give the call text again and give a lot of interesting information on how you can find partners or understand how this call sits in the wider policy or funding opportunities world of the EU and Horizon Europe. So I think these two links I think are worth checking out if you're interested in the specific call, but of course also good to know that the recording covers all of the funding opportunities that I just went through, and the topic tree that I mentioned is one example, but they also cover all these other funding opportunities that I just quickly went through. I think my last slide is about finding support and partners. And here, of course, the first starting point should always be the funding and tenders portal. This is the website of the European Commission, where it publishes these funding opportunities, these calls. And there, for every call, there's a webpage where you can read through the call, all the relevant documentations. There's also a Q&A, which they will populate once they do receive questions from stakeholders. And also there is a partner search announcement, so where you can, for example, say, I'm looking for partners for a consortium, and other interested stakeholders can read those and contact you. It's not moderated, so this is something that needs to be kept in mind, but it's one way to find for partners. Idealist, this is a network of NCP, so these national contact points for Horizon Europe, cluster 4. And so this is these are our colleagues in all the relevant European countries that are participating in Horizon Europe. And so here you can find support if you are looking for partners in other countries, but also they have offer many of the services that we also offer in Luxembourg, for example, checking your proposal, or giving other support. But do check out this link as well. And the next two links are also good for finding partners. So the Enterprise Europe network is not dedicated really to Horizon Europe, but it's more for companies who want to go abroad, expand abroad. And it's quite useful. They have a matchmaking platform where you can enter a request to find partners, but also look, of course, for companies who are looking to partner up. And it's often used also for Horizon Europe. So that's a tool that we do recommend to use in case you're looking for partners for funding opportunity. And the last one is an example of a public and private partnership for one of these key technologies that the European Commission is supporting. This one is for AI data and robotics, for which there's many funding opportunities, as you saw earlier. And this one is quite useful to find relevant stakeholders in that area. So if you're new, you get a very good overview who's active in AI data and robotics when it comes to European funding. And so this is also a very good network of potential partners that you can work with should you want to apply for one of these funding opportunities. I think this is the end of my slides. And so I think we can start with questions at this stage.
Thank you, Jan and Francesca, for this interesting presentation. So indeed, let me switch the slides. Okay. Right. So yes, as Jan was saying, now is the time for the Q&A session. Thank you for the people that typed their questions during the session. So the first question is from Citraca. Citraca works at Post, and he told us, I work in IT at Post. With a colleague, we do an intra-entrepreneurship program to do an AI platform and maybe commercialize it with help of Post. So if we do a spin-off, can we have some support from the state? And you guys help to do all the paperwork? I'm managing the mics. I think now we're fine.
Yes.
Sorry.
I mean, at Luxinnovation, as I said at the beginning, we are several teams, and each team covers mainly some services. We have a service catalog that you can see from the website. So for this type of question is not within the Horizon Europe program. So I advise you that you go on the website or you write to one of us, but the best is to go on the website. We have a wizard where you can ask what type of support you need from us, and we have a startup team that can help this kind of question. Horizon Europe, it's a little bit more advanced. It depends. There are some opportunities for extremely breakthrough technology when you have a technology that can really break through in the market and change the way things are done, so extremely deep tech companies, and this can be for startup, but in general, as you see, it's not mono-beneficiary, it's for creating a consortium with other partners, so it doesn't apply in your case. And especially Horizon Europe, mainly, especially the Pillar 2 that we described today, it's not for business purpose. So this is a program that supports innovation and research projects for companies, entities, legal person that wants to embark in an innovation project and research project.
Thank you, Francesca, for the answer. We have another question from Julio. Julio says, good morning. How the technological partners are selected to cooperate with the companies in the scope of Horizon?
Yes, this is the company are not selected themselves. So what for the Pillar 2 in particular, as Jan explained, there are different places where you can meet partners, where you can meet other entities, and also this we can help you identify the partners to whom you have to get in contact and see if there is a common interest. The way it works in general, it's not that you do, unless you already have your network. How it works best is first to go on the work programs of the Horizon Europe, check if there are opportunities that are interest of you for your project, for your technology, that can be interesting to advance either the technology itself or to have an impact in the real world. And once you identified, and we can help, of course, you also in this identification, once you identify the opportunity, then the second is looking for partners. When you have your network and your partners, then you have to start the application process. The application process, as we could see, is a long, is a quite long and request an effort. The Commission has also an IT system where you have to submit your proposal according to a specific template. This template is divided in different parts. One is the excellence of your proposal, for example, and then the impact, implementation. This is how the Commission then select consortia. Based on this proposal, the Commission organizes evaluation of all proposals, evaluation done by external experts, and they evaluate each one of the proposal, and after the evaluation is finished, all these proposals are ranked, and the best of these proposals get funded. So not all, it's an extremely competitive program. So it's important also to know that. But what is, if you are based in Luxembourg, if you are a Luxembourgish entity or legal person as well, you can come to one of our events. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You can always check our LinkedIn page where we have all our events. And for example, our team organized a entry-level proposal writing workshop where you can learn how to submit for Horizon Europe, and you understand better how this consortia approach looks like.
Thank you, Francesca, for that answer. We have another question from Arif. Arif says, is the funding support available to social impact or innovation companies?
Yes, indeed. Of course, today we were focusing and with Jan on cluster 4, which is mainly to advance digital technologies, but we have all the other clusters. And in some cluster, for example, cluster 6, which is agro-food, biotech, but also cluster 1 and cluster 2, health or inclusive society. These are clusters where the co-creation and the participation of all stakeholders in the proposal is very important. So also social companies are very important. Not, of course, they are not the one that advance the technology or the solution, but are the ones that help this co-creation approach, that can cover and can bring together all the social actors that are important for a specific topic. So depending really on the sectors where you are based, there are opportunity also for companies that are not the technology driver, let's say, but are taking into account other aspects. As we said, Horizon Europe is very policy oriented, so it means that you have to create impact at society level, and this is why all types of companies are welcome. Of course, the collaboration aspect is important. We always highlight this. You have to be also have a great willingness to cooperate with others.
Thank you, Francesca. Going back to Julio, he typed a follow-up. He said, I did not express myself properly. Rephrasing differently, how can I become a partner to Horizon program? Also, is there a portal with all partners currently in the ecosystem per country, sector, or expertise?
Yes, the European Commission provide, and here you can, in the presentation, we have some links to the participant portal, but then there is, if you go on the main section of the participant portal, you can see that there are a section that they call Horizon Europe Dashboard. This dashboard can show you country profile, projects funded. It's a little bit not very easy to understand from the beginning, but if you navigate on this portal, then you can get a lot of information. And to become partner in one of the consortia, it's important to participate to the activities that the Commission, the info days, the matchmaking events that the Commission and the networks create. This is what this was the last slide of Jan. So you cannot, of course, hope that passively you are selected. You have to make an effort to go to events, to follow the discussions online, and to also to have a little bit of boldness to contact people and see if you see projects, for example, that have been already awarded and interesting for you, to contact peers around Europe and even in other countries. We can, of course, if you are based in Luxembourg, if you have an entities in Luxembourg, you can contact us. You can come to one of our events. As I said, the beginner level, it's very interesting, and we can help you in this search, of course.
Thank you, Francesca. I don't see any more new questions on the chats. If anyone else has a question, you can post it now. Otherwise, thank you everyone for participating today, to our speakers, to all our attendings. It was a very rich session. And I leave you this QR code in the screen. If you scan it, you will see when are our next sessions and also the upcoming events for the DIH. So thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, nice day.